What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Echoes of Elsewhere, where we journey into the abandoned, peeling back the layers of history to discover the stories that linger in forgotten places. I'm your host, Courtney Autumn, and today we're embarking on a truly special exploration. Every so often, we meet someone whose passion for uncovering the lost and forgotten shines through in every frame they capture and every story they share. Someone who doesn't just document abandoned places, but honors them, breathing life into ruins. And today, that someone is my guest, the incredible Backroads2Abandoned. Backroads2Abandoned is an urban explorer whose pictures and videos are nothing short of poetry. Through her lens, we see the haunting beauty of decay and the enduring spirit of places left behind. Whether it's a crumbling schoolhouse in the middle of nowhere or a grand mansion slowly surrendering to nature and time, she tells the story of these forgotten spaces with creativity and care. In this episode, we'll dive deep into her journey, what drew her to urban exploration, the moments that have stayed with her, and the philosophy behind her approach to documenting the abandoned. We'll also talk about the responsibility that comes with exploring and sharing these spaces, and what it means to truly respect the places we roam. So grab your flashlight, lace up your boots, and join us as we wander the backroads with Backroads2Abandoned. Okay, so I started with a pretty basic one and a simple one. What sparked your interest in urban exploration?
I have to say, since I was a little girl, I've always been interested in other people's lives and how they lived. And I guess it was being nosy. I've always been one to sort of roam around and be curious. And when I was growing up, I had really bad ADHD. I was really hyper and I had a lot of learning difficulties and young parents. So everything that I was to find out, I just had to go out and find it. You know, I visually had to learn everything. So that was sort of the thing. I just started wandering around. And I grew up in the dirty South, as we called it. Where I grew up was a bit of poverty. It went both ways. There was a lot of industry in our town. And there was a lot of poverty, and there was a lot of leftover farms and working farms still going. So you had a good bit of wreckage around. So old farmhouses that were falling down around the early 70s, 80s, the old motor lodges, they were sort of going out of fashion and running down. And the road that we lived on, it had three right there by my house, within walking distance. And they started to go downhill. And I just wanted to see what was there, who came through there, what they did, how other people lived. I can remember even riding at night in the car, and I would tell my dad, like, slow down, so I could look in people's windows. I know, right? I mean, that's like the beginnings of a serial killer stalker. I love to see just through the light, you know, like people sitting having their dinner or watching TV, or how I felt my life was really not normal. And so I thought, well, I want to see the normal Brady Bunch life, you know, for myself.
Yeah.
And come to find out, there really is no normal.
No.
I mean, we all messed up.
That's so true. I think that's something you really learn through urban exploring too when you're going, especially if you find a time capsule and there's stuff in there, you know. I think you really, really get to know people and you start to realize that nobody's really normal. We all have something, you know. It's interesting. Because you told me before when we hung out in person that you went over to that hotel.
Yeah, those old motor lodges. And back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, they were one stop. So there wasn't a bunch of Texacos and like convenience stores and Dollar Generals everywhere. So you could stop and you could eat, you could gas up, and you could sleep all in one place. And there was one right in front of my house. Well, by the time I was a young girl, it became abandoned. And there was a family living up there at one time. They just moved in, made themselves at home, no electricity, but they was living their best life. And we were like forbidden to go near that highway. That was the biggest rule. My dad didn't have a lot of rules, but that was his biggest rule. Don't go near the highway. Well, don't go near that highway was like, hey, there's something good across that road. There is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. My daddy said one day, he said, I don't know what they running off of up there. There ain't no electricity in that place. And you only saw the men leave. The women never left. There was a whole haggle of kids, and they play outside all day. Never saw them go to school. They would have had to go in the same school as me.
Yeah.
They never went to school.
Oh, that's
No.
so wild. That's so wild.
And
That makes you even more curious, though, doesn't it? Because you don't even get a chance to get to know them outside of where they are.
Yeah. And there was probably about like 10, 12 kids, and they had one big wheel between them. And they would roll around that big wheel up and down that forecourt. Oh, my gosh.
That's actually like a legit playground if you think about it.
It was. You think
they're like a pool there still.
Probably everybody had their own room, you know, because
Listen, this is every parent's dream if you really think about it.
Right.
Like, you better go down the hall into your room. I'm putting you 5 doors down.
I know. I asked my dad, I said, can I go play with them? He said, you better not. You better stay the hell away from there. You better not cross that road. And then one morning I woke up and all of them were getting in the vans and the car, down the ladder, you know, a few vehicles, and they were getting in. And I thought, wow, that the women and the kids is going somewhere. They must have a family reunion or something. They all getting in. And they rolled out and never came back.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And that is when I was like, I want to see. I didn't see them move nothing in. I didn't see them move nothing out. I want to see what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my cousin. My cousin said, you know, we're going to get beat. We cannot go across that road. I said, look, we can if we don't get caught. Now, come on. And we ran up there and like turbo, because we had to get back home before they noticed us gone. And we waited till they was about half tipsy. And I was like, they get a little bit lit, we rolling. And yeah, so we went, and it was so interesting because there was remnants of the hotel left, and then there was remnants of the family that was there. There was like a couple of little hand-drawn little pictures taped to the wall. These walls were made of cinder block.
What?
Yeah, that's how old it was. Painted cinder block. I never forget it. And they have pictures hanging. A couple they had left behind. They left the big wheel. I was devastated. I said, gosh, they had so much fun with that big wheel.
They probably couldn't take it.
Yeah, I mean, why did they leave it? Or maybe they found it there. But honest to God, they were so close. They did not leave no mess. They did not damage anything. They had taken all their trash and piled it up and put it at this old, like, trash thing at the end of the motel. They didn't leave no, not any charcoal, because they cook out every weekend and stuff. Nothing. They were so clean.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That makes you really wonder how often they've done this. You know, they go and they know kind of how to leave no trace that they've been living there for. How long do you think that they were living there?
Probably a good 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how I always wonder with families that go and squat essentially in places. I wonder if they see like a developer or someone maybe comes on the property one too many times, or you know what I mean? Like I wonder how that works and why.
Things were a lot different then. That was like late 80s, early 90s. Things were a lot different.
Totally.
I mean, I don't think you could do that now. Get by with it, especially the kids not
Mm,
going to school.
I guess because it's so rural where you were at the time, it was
Yeah.
probably less likely that they were going to get
Mm-hmm.
noticed. But you noticed, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you,
Yeah.
and you just lived kind
Mm-hmm.
of nearby. So I wonder,
Yeah.
yeah, nowadays people be calling the cops on them so quick, like, hey.
They would. There's too many Karens. Even though those kids were completely happy and well taken care of, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, there are so many Karens now, they would have been a week and they would have been gone.
Was that basically kind of like your first?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't make it a habit of doing that. And then moved to England. I was doing safe exploring because I wanted to cram in and see all the things I had not seen living there. But I was doing more safe explores, things like haunted hotels and things like that.
Right.
Things that you get permission for, or something that you just know is just like dead and gone.
Yeah.
And I think I told you this before. When I was in England, I missed home so much. I missed sweet tea. I missed the South. I missed, an eagle song, didn't get none of that over there. And so I would Google and watch people exploring abandoned places. And of course, back then it was more, there wasn't all this urbex and stuff, but it was more paranormal, sort of
Right. Yeah.
going into abandoned places and seeing what ghosts they could find. And one of the videos brought up an old rest home. And I was like, wow, that looks so familiar. And then when I came home, I was like, I want to go see this. I want to see it. I want to see if this is the same place. And my sister said, yeah, Grandma Cook was there. And so our great grandma was in that rest home. And I asked everybody, and they were like, oh no, it burned down. And my brother said, oh no, they demolished that and sold the land to the golf course, this and that. My brother didn't want me out in abandoned buildings, what it
He
was.
lied
My
to you.
brother, yeah, because he's so overprotective. And he's my little brother, but he thinks that, yeah, he's got to protect me for some reason. So I came across this old boy, and he was talking about there was a sanatorium where my brother's house was. There was a sanatorium there years ago. And he said, have you ever been down to the old abandoned rest home? And I was like, I've been looking for it. Now, I'm going to tell you what. Now, if you're an establishment, a house, a place, and you can evade Google, that's hidden.
Really?
This, you could not Google an address for it.
Really?
People that have been there would give like directions like go down and turn at the fourth tree at the end of the railroad.
You're like, what
Uh,
the hell?
and it was like, or cross, and they didn't even know what town it was. And
What?
it sits so funny that literally I don't know what town it is. It
What?
don't have, it doesn't have an address anymore. And it's like between it.
Like two counties or something, or two
No,
cities?
it's in one county, but the line for the towns it's almost on a line there. And I said, well, give me a pen, give me the address. And he was like, no. He said, you go down there. He said, you go past the food line. He said, there's going to be a carpet place on the right hand side. He said, and you can park around back there and you can walk through and it'll be right there. And I was like, okay. So I won't go park at no carpet place. I was going to drive through the woods. So here I go, my little
A four
Nissan
wheeler?
Altima. I rolled up through them woods. I took my sister-in-law and I took my niece and my sister-in-law's best friend. I was like, we going. And we went out there and there it was. And I knew as soon as I crossed the tracks, it's hidden by woods now. Looks completely different, of course. I was probably 10, 11 years old. It's probably been a long time. Not going to give away my age, but it's been a long time. But when I went to visit my great grandma there, I remember it being gray and it was like purgatory. I swear to you.
What?
Yes,
That's
you
crazy.
would go there and you didn't see no people. The only person we saw was my grandma and it was just gray. It was like
That is
purgatory.
weird.
And so when I went there, it was yellow. And of course, it was full of graffiti. And the wallpaper, I mean, still remnants of like old 70s, 80s, like dated wallpaper, you know, the floral sort of or plaid. And I knew, I knew that was it. But they took my grandma out of there. They thought she was getting dementia
Oh no.
because every time we go see her and she would get mad, she'd say, "You ain't gonna speak to my company and you can't see my friends sitting there," and she'd be talking to, you
Oh
know, people
no.
that weren't
She
there.
was losing it.
So they took her out of there and she still lived and she still had all her sparks about her for many years. The thought occurred to me, you know, all these paranormal people and explorers and stuff are saying this place is haunted. Wonder if she was seeing ghosts.
That's
Wonder,
so likely.
you
That's
know,
so
I
likely.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't dementia.
Yeah.
Maybe she was seeing ghosts. So,
Was she like that? Do you remember? Did you see her after she left there?
after she left there, I mean, she was, you know, the same as before she went. I mean,
But she
she was
wasn't saying stuff like that, or was she?
no, not really. I don't think. I can't
Yeah,
really.
that's weird as hell.
Yeah, yeah. I can't really remember. You know, I mean, she didn't get no younger when she left, but she
Have you
didn't. You
ever
know,
looked up history on the place, or have you ever like looked up to see if you can find any
you know what?
articles? We need to do a
Okay,
deep dive investigation.
okay, okay. I tried. You can't find crap about. If you Google
Are
the
you
only thing,
serious?
the
Do you
only thing
remember
you
the name
find,
of it?
yeah,
And you
is
Googled that and nothing and you couldn't come up
no.
with
It just brings up old paranormal or exploring videos. Yeah, yeah.
Dang.
And
How
I
long
even
has it
actually,
been closed? Or like when do you think it like shut
oh,
down?
it closed a long time ago. It closed in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
But my uncle said that was the worst, and that she had been in a lot of different places because she had a lot of ailments. He said that was the worst he had ever seen.
Really?
And yeah, and they closed in the 90s. And you know what?
Dang.
When they closed, they threw all the people's stuff is still in the back of that place.
What?
Yeah, teddy bears, clothes, knickers, uh, books. Yeah,
That's insane.
they just threw their stuff out the back. It was crazy.
I wonder where do they put the people like that when like a nursing home closes?
They relocate them in other facilities. Now
Mm.
I went to another rest home
Abandoned?
and yeah, abandoned rest home, a nursing home, whatever. I mean, people call them different things, but and it broke my heart. It literally broke my heart. And I had read about it first.
So you
And
already knew some stuff.
yeah, and what had happened was this the workers had called the authorities on this establishment.
People that work there?
Yeah,
Holy crap.
the staff
Oh
called the authorities.
no. That's bad.
Because there were roaches, there were rats. They had no food to feed them. Money wasn't coming through. They weren't being paid.
Oh,
They didn't want to just leave. I read in the news reports that they came in that day and they said, removal now, shut it down. And they gathered those people up and they relocated them immediately. Can you imagine
what?
the trauma that those people went through? And they left everything they had. You think these people, a lot of them didn't get a lot of visitors and stuff.
Hmm.
All they had was their photos. They were left behind.
But that seems so callous of like even authorities to do though. I get the urgency in taking people out of a place that's obviously not
Yeah.
a great living condition, but dang, grab their stuff, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Or at least at some point come back and grab their stuff.
I mean, yeah. It's like on Facebook, I have a lot of followers and they just don't understand. They say to me, how do people leave all this stuff behind? Well, it happens a
It
lot.
happens a lot. Yeah.
I mean, this is not abnormal. You
No.
know, people will say to me, that's not abandoned. She's
I
lying.
love
That
that
ain't abandoned. I will take you to it. I will take you. I'll show you something that it's got more stuff and
Mhm.
it's abandoned.
Mhm.
You just, it's never ending.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. Because some places can be chock full of stuff and even have power on still, and people
Yeah.
definitely you get those comments right away. That's not
Mhm.
abandoned. You're
Yeah.
doing something illegal, breaking and entering, and
Mhm.
I'm like, no. No one's lived here in
Yeah.
22 years. Like,
And listen, I've been accused of all of it. And at the end of the day, I mean, I've got no bad conscience about what I do.
no,
I,
and you
I
should.
trespass.
Hmm.
I'm not, I mean, and anybody that knows. I'm a habitual trespasser.
Well, I
I
think
mean,
if you define yourself as an urban explorer, any explorer, then that is what you kind of are saying.
yeah,
I trespass. I
yeah,
trespass
yeah,
routinely. And I think that
hmm
that is as far as our illegal activity goes. And I think that
yeah,
that's important to acknowledge because we're not breaking the law by the sense of harming anything. Yes,
that's
we
right.
do know that it is a crime by the
Yeah,
definition of no trespassing, but
yeah,
there would be no urbex if people weren't out here doing it all the time.
that's right. And I think criminal trespass is a lot different than what I do. There's no criminal intent
Hmm.
when I trespass. I don't go there to break in. I don't go there to steal. I don't go there to vandalize. To me, normal trespass is on the level of speeding.
Hmm.
I broke the speed limit. I wasn't watching what I was doing. I was, in a rush.
Yeah.
And listen, at my age, and I have explored with cops. I have explored very prominent judges' houses. Okay. So I've been on both sides of the law.
Hmm.
And I mean, let's just be honest about I got two felony records. Okay, we'll just be honest. I don't hide anything. I got in some big bad trouble when I was younger, and
Was
trespassing.
it urban exploring related?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No,
I
ma'am.
think.
It was to do with a bank robbery, and it
You're out here robbing banks.
no, I did not rob
I
no
need to
bank.
know because if I
For
ever
all
think
my
about it,
followers,
I know who
I
to
did
call.
not. No, I did not rob any bank. And I mean, it's out there. I've never hid it. It was a good learning curve for me. I did not rob the bank. I had a boyfriend and he robbed the bank. I was not with him. The feds came, they investigated me, and they even told me, we know that you weren't there. We know you didn't do. But the thing is it hit the papers. It was a small town and it actually made the news. It shamed my family. It shamed me. And it was my fault. I mean, yeah, I didn't rob anything, but I was breaking the law by being with someone
Who was
that I
breaking
knew
the law?
did those sort of things.
Yeah.
I never thought he'd rob a bank.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you just don't think somebody would do that.
No,
But
especially you
I
want to
knew,
give people the benefit of the doubt sometimes too,
yeah.
so
And I love everybody, and I just love people. I don't see color, religion, I don't see sexual preference. I've always been like that.
yeah.
But nevertheless, it taught me a big lesson. And some of my biggest allies were the cops.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
And some of my worst enemies were the cops.
Mhm. Yeah, it can go
But
either way.
it goes both ways. But I learned that they weren't something to fear if you're not doing anything
Anything
wrong.
wrong. Yeah, totally, totally.
So,
I think that you have that fear more so because you're a female explorer also.
mm,
Like, do you
I
think
I did
male
in my
explorers have
I
the same fear kind of situation, or do you think that
mm,
we experience that?
male explorers should have more fear. They should. And I tell my boys, I'm boy my I know. And I tell my boys, I mean, you could not go in and do what I do. I have
That is
never,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've only had a couple of, I got ran off the other day. This old boy
You
came
did?
for me. Yeah, I got ran off last week. I mean, he escorted me off that property. I felt like a naughty little schoolgirl. Ugh.
What happened? You rolled up on someone's house, you thought it was abandoned and it wasn't or something?
No, I've been there before. It is
Oh.
abandoned. I've been there before, but I had to do a revisit because at the time I went there, it was really overgrown. So I went back and it's not posted. No, no trespassing signs. There is a gate, but there's no fence. There's no fence.
What do you mean?
It's a locked gate,
Mhm.
but there's no fence. It's just trees around and very thin trees on the side of the gate. So, I mean, I parked right in front of the gate, right in front, so that if anybody came up, they could
You're just
see I
signing.
wasn't up to no good.
Yeah.
I was just there taking a photo. And so I walked right around the gate, and as I usually do, there's no door on the house. It's fallen in the back, but there's no door on the front, and there's no steps anymore. So there's a bucket sat, so you can just climb up on the bucket and go in.
What in the
And
hell? And someone escorted you off of this property?
I hear outside. I hear hello. I thought, oh, here we go. So I jumped down onto the bucket and get my ass out of there. And so there he is. He was quite the character. He was a mixture of Hulk Hogan and Mr. Bean. And he was like, well, this is very private property.
Like,
I said,
sir,
oh,
but there's no signs.
I said, oh, really? I said, because there's no trespassing signs. I said, I've been here before. I said, I said, I pulled it in front of the guys. There's no trespassing signs. This is very private property. He says, you know better. You know better. I mean, he was talking to me like, I was at school or something.
God, I look like your dad.
I was like, yeah, I do. I know better. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
But I asked him, I said, do you own the property? And he says, this is very private property. So he wouldn't say he owned the property.
What does that mean?
What does very private property mean? I mean, I've only been run off a couple of times.
Really?
I've been lucky so far. Now that I say that, it'll start a trend and I'll end up being run off everywhere I go.
You better knock on some wood.
Yeah. But
have you ever been run off by cops, or are the cops called on you while you were exploring?
No. Now, I have seen the cops come up as I was leaving. Actually, it's really funny. This place is in England. So this big old wellness center, and so it's out, in this little village. So I went there in a taxi and told the taxi to come back in an hour. And I walked around and everything, and it looked really secure. It said it has a security system. It looked really secure. But the architecture on the outside was just grand. It was, it was ran by nuns. It was like a health and wellness center, sort of hospital type of thing. So anyway, the architecture was like Italian. So I was like taking photos. I was like, it was well worth an outside trip. And about 10 minutes before my taxi was to pull up, I looked and there was a window open. And
you're like, I'm about to make the most out of these 10 minutes.
Yeah. And now I'm short. I'm 5'4", and these are big old windows. And I'm like, how am I going to get up in there? I was like, okay, that's cool. So I called the taxi, and he was already on his way. So I got me a ride back the next morning, and I said, drop me. I said, and I'll text you, I'll call later, and I'll get a ride home, public transport on a bus or something like that. Find a bus or a train somewhere, because this person had to go to work. But anyway, I roll around and the window was still open. So I did my best Spider-Man maneuver, and I went up in there. When I got in there, I heard noises, and I knew it was like an alarm system. And I thought, well, I heard this sort of humming noises yesterday. So I think their alarm system has just gone haywire.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to rock and roll till further notice. So I went through that whole thing. I was there about 3 hours. And the very last bit I did, that sucker was going on. I've got the videos of it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I think, and that was the best part of the Explorer. And I was like, I can't leave now. So anyway, I finally get out of there. I was on 7% battery, and I had to be able to call an Uber or a taxi or something. So I was like, I got a jet. So my son starts texting me and says, Mom, are you okay? Where are you? You've been like off the grid a while. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm finished. I was like, look, I'm going to find some transport. He goes, you're way out there. Are you sure you can? I was like, yeah. I was like, got this. And the phone died. I walked and walked. And I mean, there weren't even sidewalks, which is really odd for England. But I'm just walking down these country lanes, just walking and walking. All of a sudden, here comes the old Bill. They call him the old Bill. Here comes the coppers round in the corner. And the little roads are so narrow. So, like, when somebody comes, you got to, like, get off the road. So I'm like, I hear a car coming. So I'm like, off the side. And there comes the cops, rearing towards me. And I was like, hey. And I just kept walking. I was like, oh my God. So I was like, well, at least if they come back for me, they'll give me a ride to civilization. So I was like, I'm not
Like,
even
the one
hating at
time I
this
will
point.
let the cops pick me up.
Yes. I wish they would come back to question me. I would tell them where I needed to go while I answered the questions.
You're
But,
gonna start walking back toward the hospital and be like, it was me, give me a ride back.
yes, I confess. So I ended up finding a bus stop, and I didn't know the bus stop is on both sides of the road. So one is going one direction, one's going the other. Well, me, American, I forgot how the bus system
Did you
works,
go?
and the sign was all old and faded. I couldn't look and see where
Oh
it was going or coming from.
no.
So I said, "Hell's bells!" I just stood there and waited for the first bus, which was an hour later. And luckily, it was going in the right direction. I didn't care if it took me the wrong direction. At least I could get somewhere and find a taxi rank because I had no phone to call anybody. I finally ended up getting home about 3 hours later, and I walk in, and my son is like waiting at the flat door for me. And he's like, yeah, mother. I'm like, look, I'm fine. I didn't die, didn't get arrested. So my phone died.
That would have honestly freaked me out though if I was talking to my mom and she's out urban exploring and then next thing you know her phone dies and then I don't hear from her for hours.
I seriously must tear that boy's nerves up.
I can
He is.
imagine. What do you think motivates you to keep exploring? Because obviously you've been down this journey for a while. So what do you think is your primary motivation?
I don't know. I mean, I just do it so much now. And it's not even a hobby anymore. I literally, some weeks I'll explore every single day.
It's just so second nature to you now, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for something and I don't know what I'm looking for. And I'll probably never find it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's chasing, it's almost like a drug, chasing that next great place,
Mm-hmm.
chasing that next good photo.
Yeah.
And I'm not a photographer. I mean, I take a good pic and I edit a good pic, but that is not my gig. As I've grown with exploring, my photos have gotten better. But originally, I didn't even take photos, and then I started taking photos because I wanted to show like people what I had seen. Because when I tell them, they just didn't. They
I
didn't
didn't get
seem
it.
excited.
Yeah.
They didn't seem to like it. So I take these awful photos and then I'd have to go home and edit them and make them look cute so that when I told them they would enjoy it. And they still didn't get it. They still
What? Are you
didn't.
serious?
Well, no, I mean, because like a lot of people, that's not their thing. And they know I can take good photos. They'll offer me to take photos of weddings and all sorts now. I mean, I can take photos now.
Yeah.
I mean, but they ain't interested in, a dilapidated funeral home
No.
or a picture of a coffin.
I guess it takes a certain kind of person for sure. Are you not
Right.
even posting initially on social media? Like you weren't even taking photos to share like publicly? You were
No,
just kind of sharing them with
no.
your friends or your
I
family?
think I started posting on Instagram a few years ago, but I've got decades of photos, like even from when I used to put them on CDs. It's
Yeah.
just too much. I really need to like simplify my life and get rid of some of these photos. I mean, I got pictures of old rackle shacks. I don't even know where they were. Um,
That's fair though, because I thought that I was one of few people who did that, who like overloads my gallery. And people are like, oh, this is a beautiful bando. I'm like, oh, that's just the one room. Well, this is the entryway. So I'm glad that we went exploring together and I saw you
because
do
we're
the
so much
same thing.
alike.
And you were so hilarious because you were like, we're in. All right, goodbye. And I like didn't see you for a couple of minutes. And every once in a while, I'll be like, you good? You good? Yep.
And listen, because I talk so much, and shout out to my lady, Miss Jonna. I love her. She is usually the person that rolls, that we roll together if I'm not by myself. But where I am so noisy and she is constantly yelling at me.
What do
Be
you mean, like when
quiet.
you're speaking or just in general when you're moving
In
around?
general, because I walk like an elephant. I mean, I'm so heavy footed, but I was on my best behavior the other day. You just don't know. But I am so heavy footed and I talk all the time. And so I'm really paranoid when I explore with other people. I explore with R and K. Shout out to my boy. But we explored together and I kept finding myself like, oh my God, Gary, shut up. He's doing proper videos. You're like, here talking to yourself.
Oh
Like,
yeah, because
you're
he's
gonna,
like a videographer too, right? So you're
yeah.
definitely
And
like, I
like,
gotta be quiet
and
back
I just
here.
walk in the room and I'll be like, hey, you got to see this. I know he's like, I never want to explore this one again. But he was lovely. He was. I mean, he looked after me. So I tried. I was like, I better like tone it down a bit.
So funny. Well, no, I didn't notice that at all. I feel like I'm heavy-footed too, though, so I don't know that I would notice it about someone else. Like, you'd have to be breaking the
Yeah.
floor down probably for me to be like, you need to chill in here. But no, you seem like really very about the same thing that I am, which is just like, we're
Yeah.
getting in together, but after that, I won't see you probably till we leave.
Yeah.
A few minutes.
And you, I mean, I didn't even get an opportunity to actually get good pictures of you because you would like scurry away, like you're in my way. And when I went home and I was like trying to find the photos of you, I was like, where are her photos? I don't even have it. Where was she?
It's just a flash.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's getting to know each other's vibes and stuff too.
We seem
Um,
very similar, though, I feel
Yeah,
like.
and one thing I saw that like at the end, we were like, okay, let's roll. That's it, we're done.
Mhm.
And then we kept stopping and taking more photos, and they kept stopping more and more. So we were definitely on the same vibe there.
Yeah, because you never know, I think that
Uh,
thought gets into your head as you're leaving, like, "Well, you know what, I better do this," or, "You're smart
yeah,
actually for taking a lot more, like, video footage than I do because at least you can see everything, but I'm sure you can also, like, get
yeah,
little visuals from that
yeah.
too, so
Used to, I didn't take a lot of video, and my videos are horrific because I'm so hyper. I'm so fast.
I'm actually always very impressed with your pace on a video because, like, it seems like you
Oh,
really
because I slow them down.
you do. You're like, "I gotta
Yeah.
cut this
Yeah.
timing in half."
I use a lot, yeah, and I use some little editing apps like CapCut. And CapCut used to be ashamed going out on me for a day.
I
But
told you, though. I told you.
I was like, what? How am I going to slow down my videos?
That
But I
was
have
so
gotten
funny. You were like,
better.
"I'm crying." I was like, "It'll be back tomorrow, don't worry."
And you're right, it was. What
Yeah.
was that all about?
I
I don't know.
honestly couldn't tell you. I try not to even pay attention to, like,
Yeah.
politics, but I heard so many people being like, "It'll come back tomorrow when Trump's president."
Yeah, we could go into a whole conspiracy theory about things if you want to ask me, because there's a lot of what if things that happen, and I'm like, But nevertheless, we got it back, so we're going to hold that one.
You're like, "I can do my cap cuts."
Yes,
Which
I'm
one were
slow
you more
motion.
upset about, CapCut or TikTok?
Cap cut.
I figured.
I mean, TikTok, I mean, you can do a reel. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not being funny. I don't make money on TikTok. I monetize on Reels and Facebook side TikTok. And I don't know why, but I mean, people on TikTok just don't like me.
Really?
I've never, I
Oh
mean,
my
I
god,
just
I
now,
thought you would have, like, a huge following on TikTok because I feel like everyone there is into urbex. I
no.
refuse to get on it. I'm like, I can't even.
Oh, really?
Aw.
And I think you should do a Facebook. I was going to
Now
say, I
that
think you
I'm
should do a
considering,
Facebook.
if I do, I'm gonna need your help with that because
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
honestly am just gonna be like, "Here's my photos, and you can do it for me."
Yes.
I'm like, "Can we link our Facebook somehow?" They post
But I
stuff.
think you should, because I love your photos. I love the mystery in your photo taking. And yeah, it's different. I definitely like it. I'd like to do a YouTube, but I just don't have the concentration. I've got years of footage, but it's not in the right format and stuff. I don't know, but
I see what you're
I
saying.
got, I just can't do all this social media and stuff. I just
It's a
can't.
lot. It's a lot. That's
Yeah.
probably why you've resorted yourself just down to Facebook too,
Yeah. And
could
when
you
I feel
imagine?
like it's a job, I mean, I'm not going to want to do it anymore.
No.
And I feel I've got to, and I feel like now I started to sometimes schedule content and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I
I don't
don't know.
want to.
It
Yeah.
seems too much of a, because I mean, you might make a few dollars, but it's a quick hustle, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
It really is because it'll be here today and tomorrow it'll be gone.
Yeah, totally.
Don't think you gonna make. I mean, you're gonna have to be big, really big, like big banks or something to
Before you're
make the
really,
money.
yeah.
Abandoned Southeast, those, you've got to really, be proper on what you do
Mm-hmm.
to make the money. Not everybody. There's too many of them out there. And these
Yeah.
these kids think they're gonna get famous, they're gonna make this money. But dude, go to school, get a job. I mean, that's your best
Piece of
bet.
advice. Yeah. I think a lot of them that I've seen anyway just replicate what Big Banks is doing, I guess because he's like the most well known or has the most
Yeah.
followers
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm just like, but why wouldn't you do it differently if you want to make money off of it?
Right.
Especially when
People
they go to the same exact places he's done and they get the locations from his videos and then they go there and do it after him. And I'm like, you're not giving us anything new. We just saw it
no.
on his video.
And everybody's already seen that, dude. They don't want to see it again. Now, I mean, I will. I will scope out. I love to watch. And he's got a good way about him,
Mhm.
but all these others are not going to be him.
Mm-mm.
And if I want to see a video of a place, I'm going to go watch his video
Yeah.
because he's going to really take us around and give us the grand
He
tour.
is. He's good for that. Really good
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, Abandoned Southeast, fantastic. He is the OG. I really give him the credit. He's the OG.
Does Leland ever do videos or does he still only like keep stuff on his whatever?
I don't really know. I just seen a lot. He does like little short. I've seen little short videos, but I would say he's more like the journalist side
Yeah.
of Urbex.
He's for sure.
And Big Banks is for his time and what he does. He's definitely got it down pat.
He's like in his 20s, right?
Who, Big Banks?
Mm.
I think he's probably like mid 20s, maybe mid to late 20s. I don't know.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of bad press because people are jealous. And let's all be nice. And listen,
Yeah.
we've all got to have our own creative. Do something different. Just do you. Don't try to be like everybody else. And I tell my kids this, it's your unique or even your flaws, your imperfections that will make you stand out.
Mm-hmm.
That will and if you're trying to be like somebody else, you can't be you. It's not going to work.
No.
And growing up, we were poor, I guess you say. We lived in trailers and it was kind of embarrassing in a way. I remember one time we had an old refrigerator on our porch. And this girl wanted to give me a ride home from school and I was like, "Fuck. I don't want somebody coming to my house with this old green refrigerator on the porch." And I just felt so ashamed.
You were embarrassed.
I felt embarrassed
Yeah.
and she had this big, nice house down the road, her own car at 16. And I just felt embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And shame on me for feeling embarrassed.
For sure.
Shame on me. Because you know what? I've come far. I've done me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am and have the things that I have and the accomplishments I have if I didn't have my life and experience the things that I needed to experience.
Yeah.
And my dad was a top man. He worked multiple jobs just to keep us in a trailer or a double wide.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and all the family and the village that I had, it's such a blessing. But I got made fun of for certain things, or my family got made fun of for certain things. And now those things I really feel are part of what makes me special,
Mm-hmm.
makes me stand out. Still, yeah. I mean, I had some old gal from Virginia, I think it was, came for me, calling me backwoods, wanting to compare me to, you know, maybe people with disabilities or whatever. Grown ass woman,
What?
grown ass woman, grown ass
Oh,
woman.
the pettiness.
hmm
Oh my
But that's jealousy.
God.
I'm doing something that gets under her skin.
Yeah. Well, she obviously doesn't actually know you, I assume, in person or anything
No,
like that. And
and I've
'cause I can't imagine anybody really
uh,
having a problem with you, just straight out the gate.
no.
Yeah, no way.
And I love everybody. I try to help everybody, but I don't take no snaky, sneaky shit. And I tell you what, the backwoods will come out. But I really have embraced, all my flaws, and that's what you got to do. Be original. We're not going to be like everybody.
No way. Yeah. And I think that in today's age, it also matters way more to be authentic because people can tell right away that that's your authenticity. Usually that's
Yeah,
what makes people drawn to you. It's not you being just like everybody else kind of situation.
that's
But I
right.
understand that too. And that's kind of why you felt embarrassed when you were younger, is because there's an element of being younger where you just want to fit in. And that's a
Yeah,
big, big thing until you know better. And then all of a sudden you don't want to fit in as much anymore because you realize the people you're trying to fit in with are really not all that.
exactly. They're
You're like,
not
I'm
the kind of
actually
people.
kind of cooler than them, so it's okay.
Yeah, and they're not nice people to be around anyway.
Mm-mm.
So take me back to the trailer park. I want to be with my people. Take me to the backwoods. Yeah, but that was growing up in the South, and at the time I hated it, and I just wanted the first, ticket out.
But then when you got out, you were like, take me
Then when
back.
I got out, I wanted to go back. I wanted my sweet tea and
But you know
lemon.
what? Because there's so many people that I think would love to think that they would be better off somewhere else, especially in comparison to where they came from, because I think that's just human nature.
hmm Yeah.
But it isn't oftentimes until you really get extracted from that environment and then you're sitting somewhere else and you're like, I don't really like this as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, and I did enjoy it. It really taught me that I loved to travel and I loved to learn about new places. And I learned a lot.
Mhm.
I evolved a lot. I left this country when I was 23. I'd never been on a plane before. And I
You had
left and I
never been on a plane before?
never been on a plane. That was my first trip
And you're going overseas?
to London Gatwick. Yeah, that was my first time on a
Oh,
plane.
wow. That's insane.
And yeah, really, it taught me a lot. You can learn a lot more through travel and discovery than you can sitting behind a screen or a book.
Hmm. I
I
agree.
mean, you learn a lot from those things, but the that taught me everything that I had been oblivious to,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, I'm thankful for that. And how I wing that, I don't know, but
You did it though.
yeah. But
Yeah.
now I'm back, and people ain't gonna be too happy. But
Obviously, since you have people coming for you already.
no, but that's just one. I say that's one little bad worm in the basket of apples
Hmm.
because it's totally good. I have a lot of people who I've not met in person, but met online that are great people and do what I do and really get it.
They're not inexperienced explorers
hmm
or young ones that are just trying to
Yeah,
change the place kind of situation. And
that's
then it
right.
gives you common ground. You instantly have this kind of bond with those people. I always
Yeah,
say we become like family instantly because we
we do.
understand we
hmm
understand each
And
other.
And I want to say, like, to the young explorers and that, please, check your people out. Have a conversation with them. Just don't go and meet up with these people.
Totally.
I mean, it's not even about the danger aspect, but you are the company you keep. And these people might not do things the way that you do.
That's
And
very
you don't want to be associated with something that you're not.
true. Mm-mm.
So be original. And that's my whole thing. I've never felt like I had to have somebody explore with. I love it so much. And I don't have the patience to wait around.
No.
So I'm like in my car and I'm like gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, but young people, it's like they can't go anywhere by themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've had a lot of these little
But
young,
do you think that see, this is always tricky for me because I don't ever want to like create some sort of division between female and male explorers needing to do things differently because I think we
yeah,
all have the same like
we all
capacity
need to
to do
take the
anything.
same precautions.
Yes,
The
totally.
same precautions.
Do you feel more safe or less safe if you're exploring alone?
I
Since
feel more safe
you're by yourself.
exploring alone.
Mm-hmm.
But you know why? Because
Because
I'm
it's
one person.
predictable. Yes.
Yeah. Don't take a whole entourage.
Mm-hmm.
One person gets noticed a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
Two people gets noticed maybe a little bit more. But three, and four, and five, y'all are just asking. I mean, you can see, you can hear.
Yeah.
That is 4 foot sets of footsteps.
Yeah.
So
Between five people.
you don't need to do all that. Or if you're going to go in groups, two in the car, two in the location.
Mm-hmm.
Switch it
Take
off.
turns. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I've explored with people. I've explored with groups like more than two people, maybe, a couple of times. But they were well known. They're very well versed. It was all sorted. And it's just natural that we all do our own things. But I find it easier. Everybody does things different. Everybody likes their own gigs. And basically, whatever feels comfortable to you is what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel it's very dangerous going out on your own alone. I do not I feel safest, but I do not recommend that to anybody
Agreed.
for
It's really
alone.
funny that I hear so many explorers say the same thing, which is all of us explore alone, but we don't want anyone else to do it.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
yeah,
I'm sure people are probably, I'm like, aren't they being hypocritical?
yeah,
But it is for a reason. And I
hmm
think it's important to point out that
yeah,
we mean people who've never explored before. If you're just starting out and you don't know, you need to feel all the things out for yourself before you know for sure, like how you want to approach a bando
absolutely.
and all this other stuff. So,
Yeah, definitely.
mhm.
In the last 7, 8 years, um, I would stalk these places. I would do my research. I would look up tax records. I would look up
Same.
owners.
Yeah.
I wanted to know who the neighbors were, if they owned it, if they were family. I mean, so I was probably safe,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think a
Um,
lot of people go through that extent. I do the same thing. And
yeah,
I think it gives you a peace of mind while you're there because it's almost like, well, if I do get rolled up on, I have this truckload of information on this
exactly.
specific place. I know the names
hmm
of the owners. I know all the
Yeah,
things. And
yeah,
even if it is just looking at tax records and knowing that this place hasn't paid taxes in 5 years, and that's enough of a leg up to be on the property.
yeah. My thing is nothing is really abandoned.
True. Yes, that's
But
true.
I mean, everything is owned in this world. It's owned by somebody. That somebody might be dead.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody might not care about it.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody might be the bank or, the people that repossessed it.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is on. One house I found, I mean, it belonged to a cat.
Hold on.
Not even gonna lie. Not even gonna lie. I mean, that man had left the house and the property to a cat.
Are you for real?
Not even lying.
How do you know?
I looked it up. And you know what? I was so,
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Was the cat living?
I think that damn cat died. I mean, that cat couldn't have still been alive.
I'm confused because if you're going to leave your property to a cat, are you all going to ensure it has a feeder or like someone who comes and checks on it? Like, also, that cat is dead.
I went down a little research because that was definitely worth looking into, delving into that situation. And I talked to some people. He was really scorned with his family. He was not appreciative of how
He
his
had
sister and them had treated
family
him.
and that he still left it to his cat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he had a sister. He was a Vietnam War vet. Bless his heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But his sister must have done some shady shit that he didn't like. And I went to the registrar of deeds and I said, "Is this true?" And she said, "At that time, it was. He left his house and land to the cat."
What in the hell?
I said, "Well, can I just ask you where's the cat now?"
That's my whole question. Where's that damn cat? Never mind.
I scoured that house because I wanted to make a full story. I wanted to show the inheritance and the cat. And I never found a picture of that cat.
Wait, you don't even know what this cat looks like?
No.
Are you
No.
serious?
Mm-hmm. And I think that cat must have just went off in the woods and died.
I mean, yeah, obviously. Like, or ran away, found a different owner or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't getting fed anymore.
Or maybe the sister came and stole it. I don't know.
That's what I said. I'm like, his
registrar of
siblings
deeds
rolled up and killed that cat.
She killed that cat.
Seriously, we need to open up an investigation for real.
I'm not even lying. It was
so dead ass serious. I need to know. First off, I want to see what the cat looked like. How old was the cat when the dude died? And
was it ginger? Was it tabby? Was it black? I mean, what was this cat? How
was 15 years old when he died, and he's damn well knew this cat has like 5 months left to live, and he's like, "I'll leave it to my cat."
Yeah. And the registrar of deeds, she told me, she said, "We don't even know if the cat, was still alive when he died." She said he just did that for spite. That's what she said.
Yeah, she made the whole thing up. He was like, "You know what? I'll leave it to my pretend cat. That's my invisible cat."
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's just crazy.
Like, I feel for the family. Obviously, there was some beef there. He didn't care on his deathbed to change it to not his cat. He was like, no.
They must have done some shady stuff for him to go that far. Or maybe he wasn't in his right, caliber. Yeah. I've been really fortunate and I think that every place has a story. It's just, they're not always there for us to say, but every place has a story. And some stories aren't interesting. Yeah, not every place has an interesting story, but I have been lucky, and that is sort of what my search has always been, is that's, the next great story, the next great thing. And I think, that as time goes on and we progress as a society, truth is stranger than fiction. Every story gets better with time. Yeah. So I guess I'll just be doing this till the end.
So a really interesting question that I've actually been meaning to ask you, and both on the podcast and just in general, is how do you usually go about choosing your locations?
I go through phases, and I've had all different ways. Now I have so much on my maps that I kind of miss that sort of whole research and finding places authentically. Because maps is so easy. You just go on Google Earth, you can find anything, especially, around the areas that I am around. But some days I'll just get in the car. I mean, I will look at my map and I am so indecisive that I'm like, okay, I got 4 good places there. But nah, I'm feeling like I need to go north. And I'll just go north. I mean, just on a limb, you can just get out and drive. Get out and drive. You will find the best things. Just driving. I mean, that works for me. It might not for others because others have certain boundaries and stuff. If there's a purple line on a tree, they won't. But I mean, I'll go ask a neighbor or
I know you will. Listen,
You
I'm
remember that
thinking.
house, girl? I still want to go ask that neighbor. I'm
You're talking
still
about the
talking
last
about,
house we went to that had the
yes.
overgrown stairs? Yeah.
And the little holly hobbies on the outside.
Yes,
I
yes.
want to go back. Let's go back. I've been
I think we
dreaming about.
should. They gotta own that property, right? Like they're right there nestled next to it. I can't imagine that they don't own that.
I don't know,
It'd be
but
even
I
better
think,
though if we knock on the door and we're like, "Can we go take?" They're like, "We don't give a fuck. We don't own that." And we're like,
yeah,
"Yes,
that's right. Exactly.
we're getting
That's like
in."
having permission.
Yeah.
You know, one time me and my friend, I was about to run out of gas. I had kept forgetting to get gas, and we was out in the middle of nowhere. I
ADHD.
said, "Well, look, we're gonna go on and hit this pin. We're gonna go to this place, and then we'll find a gas station." So anyway, as we pulled up, there was a man out on the tractor plowing the fields. I said, "Hey, I bet you he's got some gas, and he can give us permission." So she's like, "You
One
can't
stop.
ask some guy on a tractor for permission." I said, "The heck I can't." So anyway, I go and I'm flagging him down. He can't hear till I get right up on him. Then he sees this blonde just running through the field. He probably thought I was something out of a nightmare. And anyway, so he stops and he turns it off. And I said, "Hey, do you own this house?" He said, "No comprende." I said, "Okay." I said, "So, does that mean I can go and take photos? I just want to take photos." He said, "No, no, no." He said, "I'm not on house." I said, "Okay." I said, "Do you think they'd mind if I take photos?" He said, "No, no. Go, go." I said, "Okay." I said, "Do you got any gas?" He's like,
Did he?
he didn't understand. He just was so confused. I said, "Look, I got permission to go in the house.
Didn't get gas though.
I'll find a gas station." So we just wrote, I stood there and videoed him going up and down that field, plowing that field. And we're just all in there taking pictures. It was a good house and had like 3 or 4 good sheds and everything.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
and he's just plowing the field, just
And you're just like,
oblivious.
we're in here. We're good.
He probably thought I was like, I don't know what he thought I said. But
I wonder if you would have gotten in trouble if somebody rolled up and you're like, well, he told me I could come in here.
might have. And then every time I go past that area now, the gate's always like locked and that they got it secured off.
Oh,
And
really?
I thought, yeah, and I thought, wow, we hit it lucky with that because he had the gate open in there, doing work and stuff. We'd never get in there again. But there's a cell tower on the property. So I think that house and everything is just miscellaneous. It's just nothing. They get paid, I mean, a mint for
Yeah,
having that cell
totally.
tower. So they
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah,
The
no
house is
way.
just,
That's a
hmm
lot of houses that I've noticed, especially like out, with farmland and then the country and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
like the ones with the cell towers usually are
yes,
abandoned or
yes.
empty, whatever you want to call it.
hmm
Yeah.
But I like a good hoard. I like a lot of stuff, a lot crazy stuff. Just
hmm
like it can be like wreckage or clutter or whatever, but I just love a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I was going to ask
And
you, do you prefer like a time capsule versus an empty house?
I like a time capsule. And really, I see a lot of these online and they're so beautifully documented.
hmm
And it makes me want to go. And I go. I really have, done the tour bus thing and sort of gotten on board and trekked over to find these popular places. And I love them. I
Yeah.
love them.
Yeah.
But I like going in and not knowing what to expect. So
hmm
my passion really is finding that unexpected.
Yeah.
Um, so
I guess
yeah.
I never really thought about that. It's like exciting to find locations through bigger people or explorers
Yeah,
or
it
whatever is
is.
accessible, but then it does kind of take away the whole like kid on Christmas feeling when you walk into one that
It
you don't know
is.
what's going on behind that door, and
Mhm.
that's always the best. Wait, holy
And
shit, this is crazy.
following a pen is not exploration.
No, no.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
And I'm guilty of it myself. Hey, I'll throw my hands up. I'll say
Well, I
it.
think if you're not in an area, and if you're traveling out of state and you want to map out something specific, then you want to know what's worth your while kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's totally different. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if you have the ability to just get in your car and
Hmm.
go around drive,
Yeah.
that's the best way.
It is. I like that unknown because you know what to expect.
Hmm.
It doesn't make it any less great. Like I chased down the BMW house
Hmm.
once I saw one of the big explorers had done that, and I was like, oh, I got to go there. I got to see that. I loved it, and of course, it's just natural. If you've got a love for exploring, you're going to see those things and want to go.
Hmm.
It's just natural.
Oh yeah,
And that's why I'll share a location. There's certain people I won't share with, and that
obviously.
that maybe it's not worthy. But there are most everybody, everybody that I know is legit and really enjoys it like I do. Yeah, I'm gonna share
Mhm.
because I want them to experience what I experienced.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
just
and
part
when
of the
they're
love of it.
just doing it the way you are and they're documenting,
Yeah, yeah.
that they'll come and they'll go and it'll be just the way
Hmm.
that you last saw it
But you've
too.
got some explorers that once they've been a place, they don't want anybody else to go.
I don't
They're
understand that.
they're not gonna give it out. They're gonna lock it up after they go,
But why?
and
Why do you think that is?
because they're intimidated by other people going there and taking photos. They think they're going to be outdone
Why?
because
Better photos.
they don't have the confidence in their art. And listen, Mama Sita, I've got the utmost confidence in I'm unique. What I see and what I go in and take a photo of and what I video is going to be different than anybody's.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I've got no qualms.
You are
I mean,
right. I feel like if I saw people's content that were in the same locations you've been in and they had it in a lineup, I feel like I'd be able to tell what yours is out of other explorers because
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
like you put your name or handle on
no,
it or anything.
no,
It's just the way you do it. It
yeah.
just has the certain feel to it.
Yeah.
When you're looking at something that Backroads2Abandoned put up.
I
I always.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. And listen, I mean, my stuff is copyrighted. I pay for a copyright, but I don't need to put it on there because everything is time and date stamped. But people could pick mine out of a crowd.
Mm.
And I have a certain style. I've gone through different variations. And one time I over edited and it was awful.
Oh
But
no.
but I still have that same sort of, gig that I do. And listen, mine's not the best. I look at other people's and I think, wow, I love that capture. I love the way and that's my love for it. I want to see that,
Me
you
too.
know? And I tell you, there's this one guy, Jason,
Baker.
Jason Baker.
Hmm. I
Oh my
love him.
gosh.
I
Oh my
love him.
gosh,
I
he's my
love.
guilty pleasure. Jason, if you're out there, if you listen to this, please come and explore with me.
Me too. We'll go together. It's a
Yes, we're
three-way.
so close. I want to go somewhere with you. I'll take you to my special
I totally
places.
agree. I'm so obsessed with him. I've talked about him
Yeah.
on my podcast before. I definitely think he
Oh
listens.
my, isn't that weird that we were both like obsessed with Jason?
Yeah.
Oh my
Well, all you
God.
said was Jason, and I was like Baker photography. I knew exactly who you're talking
Yes.
about. Yeah.
He's just brilliant. I
Amazing.
love what he does. And
Same.
he's not flamboyant. He don't push it on anybody.
Mm-mm.
He don't have to prove anything.
No.
He just goes in there, makes his art, and just comes away so smoothly. I just imagine him to be this lovely, smooth operator. And I'm a married woman, so I'm not even going to go too far with this. But
We cannot send this to your husband.
my husband don't get jealous. He knows I love him. But yeah. So I love Jason Baker.
Yeah, me too.
He does great. Yeah. He's really got his own.
Do you think that he considers himself an urban explorer? Because I don't
No,
even think he does. I think he's
I
just a
don't think so.
photographer and he just works with a crew that goes to abandoned spots. And
And he's really unique. So I don't think he really has to put any sort of label on himself. He's just unique.
Can we go with him for a week on wherever he goes? He
Right?
goes everywhere. I'm like, how do
I
you
mean,
even
I'll
know?
even ride in his trunk. Jason Baker, wherever you are, I will ride in your trunk. Okay. Just let
I
me
will
out
put
today.
myself in your suitcase.
I want to roll with you. Let's do a road trip. Okay.
Be like, so I did a podcast interview and we talked about you for 11 whole minutes if you want to give it a listen. He's gonna be like, what the hell was said?
He's going to be like, I got these two girls. They
Right.
down south. They just a stalking me. One's blonde, one's brunette. They stalking me.
Got the best of both worlds over
But
here.
I bet we're not the first.
No way. No way. I think
But
if you're any explorer, I can't imagine that you don't look up to him in some way.
yeah, and there are a lot that I would love to just be in their back pocket. I would just love to go or take them to
Mhm.
some my special places
Yeah.
and just show them, definitely him, Abandoned Southeast,
Hmm.
and yeah, even Big Banks. Come on,
So
listen. I mean, I could take him and show him some things, but Jason Baker's he just stands out from the crowd. But that's what I love is all the ones that, sort of stand out.
Yeah, he does it in a way that's very like poetic or something. I can't even
Yeah.
really like put my finger on it, but yeah, I love the way he photographs and edits. Like the whole process he must do is
Yeah.
just like it's so flawless. I'm like, dude, whatever
Hmm.
you've been doing, you're doing it right. We love
Yeah, for
it.
sure.
This is now called the Jason Baker fan podcast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's funny that
So,
you say that though, because I was most excited to go exploring with you to have that same experience. Because whenever I first saw your videos and your content, I was like, I wish I could be in her back pocket and just see how
oh my
geeked up
gosh,
she
I love
gets,
you.
how much time does she spend in each room, what kind of
Hmm.
crazy angles does she get in to like take a picture? Is she doing urbex yoga at every bando?
And I
And I
have
think it was
no
great.
special technique. It's just how I roll.
You take your time and it's like you're moving quickly, but you're doing it with a strategy as far as like how you want to capture your stuff goes. And I think that that is very clear. People
Mhm.
watch you do your
Yeah.
thing inside an abandoned place. And I was looking most forward to that because I was like, I wonder, because some people are like, don't talk to me. I don't even walk in the house. Like, I need utter silence to take these pictures. I need 5 minutes in each room. There's people like that.
I
I
can't
love
be with
it.
somebody like that
No, me
because I get so excited and I'm like, come look at this. And I'm even talking to myself or talking to my phone. Oh my God, look at this. But I just get I'm like a kid every time.
Me too.
That's my way.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, we love it.
yeah.
We
But
love
that
it.
just shows your passion for it. So it's
Yeah,
good.
that's true. That's so true.
Yeah.
How do you think urban exploration will change over the coming years or in the
I
future?
think that it's going to die out. I think it's a big phase right now. It's
Mhm.
a big phase. And it took a big boom with social media. And I think that a lot of it's going to phase out. It'll always be around. The old schoolers, the OGs, they'll always be there
Yeah.
and they'll keep doing their thing. But the trend of it will die down and fade out because it will weed the weak out.
Mhm.
Because, if you're not smart, you're going to end up with a lot of charges.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, especially the younger generation, they don't want to walk through life with all those charges.
Mm-mm.
And each charge they get more and more scared.
Yeah.
And there's going to be new things that are trendy and popular, and they're going to go and try.
Mhm.
So certain parts of it will fade out, but it will always be around.
Mhm. I
Do you think
totally
that's a
agree.
long time? Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always been a thing, but I do agree. I
Yeah.
think that also people don't always have the means to go travel very far. So eventually, like, they'll run out of content to make, because they can't go
Well, yeah.
overseas like Big Banks does and all this other stuff. So I think that that's an important element to consider too.
You've got to really expand your horizons. I mean,
Yeah.
I've even found after the first 2 years of being back and exploring around here, there was nothing left.
Mm-mm.
I mean, there's always more. There's always more that we don't see. But in general, I had done what there was to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So I was having to branch out and go different places. And then you got to get further and further out.
Mm-hmm.
And some places are just completely spoiled.
Yeah.
They have been done, done, done.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to see that anymore.
Yeah.
So you're not even going to go that spot. So that means you're going to have to go further than there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's constant travel. And my whole thing is in this year, I want to do a road trip. I'm going to choose two people. Two people. I want two people on this road trip with me. And we are just going to go uncut, bare back, rock and roll, straight, authentic, urban exploration.
Full
And I
time.
literally don't know who, I don't know what, you know, it'll come. I mean, it'll come. It like anything, it just happens.
Jason
That
Baker, if you want to go.
Jason,
I think that's your first candidate.
no
I can
matter
tell.
what, Jason, you're invited. I don't know. But it's just been in my mind. It's what I want to do. I want it very authentic, just raw, no preparation. I don't want a bunch of pins or what other people have
You
done.
just want.
Just want to, let's just go. Just roll. I
Mhm.
mean, if we got to sleep in our car in the parking lot of Walmart one night, that's what we do.
Fine.
But
That's
that
such
is
a good
my,
idea, though.
that's what I want to do. And I think once I've done that, I'm done.
I think that's what I'm missing most for Urbex content is I've been dying for someone to document Urbex the right way, and do it start to finish, several places,
Yeah.
and just really get a feel for it in a documentary style way where it gives them a chance to connect with it better because it's not a camera crew and it's not the program. It's just you and, like you said, two people going, driving, not knowing what's going to happen, where you're going to go. And I think that's the best way to do it. And there's not, to my knowledge, that really exists right now.
No,
So you'd be one
no,
of the first.
I would. You might want to cut this out so I don't give other people my idea.
You are right. I might.
But I don't care because I mean, I just want to do it for me.
Mhm.
And I think it is something about just the spontaneity of it, not necessarily being planned and orchestrated. And I've seen like a lot of explorers and how they organize their explorers. And
Yeah.
it's orchestrated. It is a whole game plan.
Hmm.
And that is not what urban exploration is about.
Mm-mm.
You go there with no plan. Like when we went the other day, we had no plan.
No,
Okay, so we had some places marked, but we also, anything we saw, we was going to pull off the road,
for sure.
you know? Um,
Or go
but
ask the neighbors, apparently.
yeah, go ask the
You love that
landlord.
about you because I'm not like as quick. You were just like no hesitation about it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pull right into their driveway and knock on their door, and I'll ask them for permission because I know they own this spot. And I'm like, oh my god, what's
Yeah.
going
And I've done it so many times, and it's always worked out pretty good.
really?
Even if they didn't own it, they were like, "Oh, well, it's for sale or it's not. It's been sitting there." They tell you a little bit, and they're like, "Well, I'm sure they wouldn't mind." So it's like that's permission.
Enough. Yeah, for sure.
That gives you the confidence that everything's okay.
Hmm.
But that's just yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's crazy. Yeah, you have no hesitation, no shame in your game. You're like, I'll ask anybody. I loved it.
my
Loved it.
grandma always saying they can't do nothing. What they gonna do? Eat you? They can't do nothing. All they can do is tell you no.
Hmm.
And it's true.
That's
Just,
true.
yeah. The benefits outweigh, the
Not,
no.
yeah, totally agree. I have two last things. I like to do it with everyone that I interview, which
Mhm.
is called Explorer's Track, which is just a song that you either love to listen to when you're exploring or that's like very special to your urbex
I,
like journey or anything like that.
yeah, I'm a music girl. So next to exploring, music is my favorite thing. So my song that I always start all my journeys out with is Mandolin Rain. And it's the most, but I come home to visit, and me and my dad will sit on his front porch, and this song would always come on the radio, and it just always put me in my feelings, and it just always reminded me of my dad. And I always feel like, I feel charmed if I have that song like in my blood
Yeah.
when I go. So that's my song.
That's
I
kind of
always
like your
listen.
lucky charm
And
and your song.
yep, yep. And anybody that knows me knows I'm a big Prince fan, but I love all music. But everybody else would guess that it would be a Prince song, but it's not. But that's my song. And then usually if I'm going to something really risky, I'll put on, my Aussie or
Now you got to change the vibe.
yeah, I'll put on my Aussie or, some old school, hair bands or some shit like that.
I love that. You
Yeah.
adjust according to mood of the bando, basically.
Yeah.
I love that. The last thing that I like to get everyone to do is let the listeners know where they can find you and your content and kind of follow along with your journey explorer.
Yeah. So Backroads2Abandoned, and I am on Instagram, and it's Backroads2Abandoned. You'll see
And I'll
me. You'll see
confirm.
me. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. So that's my gig.
Good. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you
Thank you
being
so
on the podcast.
much, girl.
You're
I've
welcome.
enjoyed it.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Cool.
And I hope I'll see you another time for another explore. And yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'll be coming your way next time because you mentioned some spots in your area that I know I want to go to.
Definitely.
It's enticing
Definitely.
enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, girl. You take care.
All righty, you too.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Echoes of Elsewhere. A huge thank you to my amazing guest, Backroads2Abandoned, for sharing her stories, insights, and a little bit of the magic that keeps her exploring the forgotten corners of the world. I will be back next week, and I'll be sitting down with an urban explorer who stole my heart from the very first video, and he will be joining me for his very first podcast interview, so you don't want to miss it. If you're curious about who they are, keep an eye on my Instagram at urbexechoes, where I'll be dropping some clues and some hints on next week's guest. It's also the perfect place to check out some photos from the explorations that Backroads2Abandoned and I went on recently. And as always, her info will be linked in this episode. So be sure to check her out and give her a follow. I highly recommend. Thank you guys for being here and for tuning in. I will be back next week. Until then, keep exploring the allure and the abandoned, the beauty of decay, and the echoes of elsewhere.